Greetings dear children. In this video, we will be learning about conditional sentences type 1, type 2 and type 3. Conditional sentences. A condition is something that has to be fulfilled before something else can happen. For example, if the rain stops, what happens? We will play. So this is the condition. If the rain stops, then the outcome is we will play. Conditional clauses after if are not about events that have occurred, but about events that can or might occur or might have occurred. At times, these events are highly probable. For example, if the price of cars comes down, more people will buy them. There is a probability, there is a chance. If it comes down, if the price comes down, more people will buy them. Sometimes the events are impossible, means they did not or cannot happen. There is no chance. For example, if I had wings, I would fly. Conditional sentences are usually divided into three basic types: type 1, type 2, type 3. Let's look at conditional sentences type 1. We use conditional sentences type 1 to describe conditions which may or may not be fulfilled. Example, if you call me, I shall come. If you work hard, you will succeed. Now, let us look at the pattern. The most commonly used form of type 1 conditional, this is the format. If, present tense, and the outcome in future. Will, that is future. In main clause, the verb will be in future tense. So here present tense, all the four kinds it is accepted. Present, simple present, present continuous, present perfect and present perfect continuous. When a reference is made to present or future, the verb in the if clause, that is the first half. See, this is if clause. The sentence we can divide it into two. One is if clause, the other one is main clause. How do we identify which is main clause or if clause? Main clause gives complete meaningful sentence. So let's look at this sentence. If you work hard, you will succeed. In this, which is main clause? This is the main clause. You will succeed. You will succeed is giving complete meaningful sentence. Wherein if you work hard, what happens? It is incomplete. So this is subordinate clause or if clause. Here it is incomplete, whereas main clause gives complete meaningful sentence. So here the verb in the main clause is in future. Here it is. This is the format. Is in future tense. And if he works hard, he will succeed. So here the main clause is he will succeed. Complete meaningful sentence. And here the tense used is will. The first if clause, the tense is in simple present, works, does plus work, works. So here again one more example. If he is well, he will come here soon. He is it is in present tense, and the main clause, the verb used is future, will come. If the reference is made to habitual result, the present tense is used in the if clause and also in the main clause. The first point we learned is type 1 conditional sentences. The format which we have learned: if clause, present tense, and main clause, future tense. If you work hard, you will succeed. Now the second point, if the reference is made to habitual result. For example, if you heat ice, it turns to water. So if it is a habitual result, then if clause as well as main clause, present tense is used. Heat. If you heat means if you do heat. Present tense. Turns, does turn. It turns to water. So if clause as well as main clause, present tense is used. For example, another example, if you overeat, you become fat. It's quite natural. Habitual result it is. Then third point, when the main clause gives an order or an instruction, the imperative is used instead of future tense. This is the third point. When the main clause gives an instruction, then imperative means a request, order, command. It is used instead of future tense in the main clause. So the first point is present tense, in the if clause present tense, and in the main clause future tense. If it is a reference about a habitual result, if clause and main clause both in present tense. When the main clause gives an order or instruction, then imperative is used. Example, if you meet him, tell him to come soon. It's an instruction, it's an order. If he wants money, let him come. This is the third point. Then the fourth and the fifth one, it is about modal verbs, use of must, should, could, etc. If you want to succeed, present tense, that is if clause in present, and main clause we use modal. You must work hard. Use of may, can, might. If the weather clears, present tense and main clause in modal. You can use modal verb. If the weather clears, we can play. If it continues to rain, he may play, he may not play, he might play, or he might not play. That is possibility, showing possibility, permission, ability. We use modal verbs. Conditional sentences type 2. In type 2, if is followed by a past tense. Here you can see if, simple past. Or could, was, or were is followed. The main clause is normally formed. So this part, main clause, is normally formed with a would. Usually we use would. Should or can also be used instead of would. So normally we use would. This also can be used. This model should also can be used. Past tense of shall. Should can also be used instead of would after I and we. The pronouns I and we. So the normal format, the basic pattern of a type 2 conditional sentence is if, simple past, and the outcome in conditional, that is would. Instead of will plus verb, we use would plus V1. If he spent a year in France, he would speak French. So here if, then subject, then simple past we have used spent. And what is the outcome? Would. Would speak. He would speak French. So type 2. So the second example. If we had money, had in past. If we had money, we would leave home. We should also correct as it is told here. We can use should after the pronoun we. We should leave home. So type 2, conditional sentences type 2 expresses imaginary situations. If he spend a year, then the outcome is he would speak. So it is imaginary condition. It's not real condition or real situation. In the if clause and speculate their imaginary consequence. Okay. Condition or the situation is imaginary and the consequence also imaginary. Imaginary consequence. If we had money, imagination, imaginary situation, then we would leave home. Consequence in the main clause. Though past tense is used, the reference is not past time. That is why past tense after if is often called unreal past. Type 2 conditionals often state what is impossible. If I had enough money, I would fly to America. We have learned the format. Type 2, if, simple past, and the outcome in conditional. Would plus first form of the verb. If I were, if I was. But the most preferably used format is if I were, not was. Were instead of was is more formal and is more preferably used in purely imaginary statements. For example, if I were a millionaire, I would lead a luxurious life. If I were, this is past, and outcome would lead, conditional. Parts of certain if sentences have become almost fixed idioms. For example, if I were you, if need be, if you ask me, meanings are given here. Let's look at one example. I wouldn't take that subject combination if I were you. So this is the if clause. And here the main clause we can see, I wouldn't take that subject combination, would plus first form of the verb. Use of modal verbs could, might, ought in the main clause shows ability, possibility, duty. For example, if my father were here, he could help me. Why is it where? The reason is it is already told where is more preferably used. If my father were here, he could help me or he might help me. That is a possibility, showing possibility. Then if you lost the match, you ought to try again. You should try again. It is showing your duty to do it again. Try it again. So simple, a past it is, and here the model ought to or should can be used. Conditional sentences type 3. Type 3 conditional clauses contain a condition that was not fulfilled in the past. In such clauses, past perfect form of the verb is used. So let's have a recap. Type 1, simple present, outcome in simple future. Type 2, simple past and outcome in conditional, would plus first form of the verb. And type 3, past perfect means had plus third form of the verb. Past participle form of the verb or third form of the verb. We should know that verb has three forms. V1, V2, V3. That is first form of the verb, second form of the verb, third form of the verb. For example, first form of the verb is write. Second form of write is wrote. And the third form is written. Like that, verbs, three forms are there. Present, past and past participle form of the verb. So here, past perfect means had plus third form of the verb is used. Type 3 conditionals are purely imaginary. This is totally imaginary in the if clause and consider the imagined consequence in the main clause. Type 3 conditional refer to the consequence which did not and could not happen because they refer to something that did not happen in the past. They are hypothetical conditions, means which is not a true. In a type 3 conditional sentence, the verb in the if clause is in past perfect tense, as I told, that had plus third form of the verb. The verb in the main clause is in perfect conditional. Perfect conditional means would have plus third form of the verb. Had plus third form of the verb, its result is or outcome is would have plus third form of the verb. The time is past and the condition cannot be fulfilled because the action in the if clause did not take place. So here is the pattern of type 3 conditional sentence. Past perfect, perfect conditional means had plus third form of the verb, would have plus third form of the verb. If past perfect and the result or outcome would have third form of the verb, should have, could have, might have plus third form of the verb. If you had been here, I would have seen you. Meaning is, in fact, you were not there. It had not happened. You were not there. So what was the outcome? I did not see you. Both imaginary situation. If we had taken your advice, had plus third form of the verb, take, took, taken, third form. That is past participle of the verb take. or third form of the verb take. So had plus taken. If we had taken your advice, we would have said. Would have plus third form of the verb. This is perfect conditional. Meaning of the sentence, we did not take your advice. Therefore, what is the outcome? We did not save time. So let's have a recap on all the three types. Type 1, simple present, outcome in simple future. Type 2, if, simple past and outcome in conditional, would plus first form of the verb. And type 3, if, past perfect and conditional perfect. That is, if had been plus third form of the verb and would have plus third form of the verb. So in English language, paper 1, question 5, you get question which begins with the if, this conditional sentences which begins with if. You will be asked to begin with the suppose, but for, provided, unless, otherwise. So how to attempt these questions? First one, suppose or supposing. Then what if? If there is an earthquake, what shall we do? Suppose there is an earthquake, what shall we do? We have to replace if with the word suppose. The second one, but for. We can replace if with the word but for. The phrase but for. If there was no air, we would have died. But for air, we would have died. If it were not for his intervention, we would have fought. But for his intervention, we would have fought. The third one is provided. Replace if and use provided or begin with provided. It's mainly used with permission. If you finish your homework, you can play. Provided you finish your homework, you can play. Otherwise, in all the three types it is used. If you don't study, you will not succeed in life. See, don't study, it is simple present and future, outcome in future. So in simple present, so all the three types we have used here. First one, don't study means study hard. We are replacing it. Replacing if and we are using otherwise. Study hard, otherwise you won't succeed in life. Now this we can use it in type 2. If you did not study hard, you would not succeed in life. Did and study, that is second form, means studied. You studied hard, otherwise you would not succeed in life. Now we are using it in type 3. If you had not studied hard, had plus third form of the verb, you would have not succeeded in life. You had studied hard, otherwise you would have not succeeded in life. All the three types is used here in the fourth one, that is for otherwise. And we have learned all the three types so that you will understand the pattern. The sentence which begins with if, you will be able to identify whether it is type 1 or type 2 or type 3 is used. If it is type 1, you should know the main clause verb is in simple future. If it is type 2, the question is given in type 2 conditional sentence, then the main clause would plus first form of the verb, that is conditional. And if the question, that is if clause, is in type 3, had plus third form of the verb, you should know main clause future perfect, that is would have plus third form of the verb. And one more is there. So this is one of the most important concepts in the functional grammar, interchange of if and unless. Unless means if not. Sentence with unless or if not are negative conditional sentences. For example, let's look at this example. If you work hard, you will succeed. How to begin with unless? So as I told that unless means if not. Unless you work hard means if you do not work hard, you will not succeed. So this is how we are supposed to rewrite the sentence without altering the meaning of the given question. So frequently, this is one of the most frequently asked question in the board examination. So I have given here the examples. See, these are the questions which have come in the board examination 23, 2019, 16, 2009, semester 1, 2022. So let's look at this example. If he does not take medicine, he won't get well. If he does not take medicine, he won't get well. Unless he takes medicine means if he does not, unless, as I told that if not, that's the meaning. If he does not take medicine, unless he takes medicine, what happens? He won't get well. Let's look at this question. Submit your project, only then you can appear for the test. So what is the answer? So here the answer is unless you submit your project, you cannot appear for the test. This is the answer. So let's look at this question. Study hard now or you will regret it. 2009. The question has come in 2009 board examination. Unless you study hard, you will regret it. 2016. The question was, if Mary catches the first bus, she will be on time for school. Unless Mary catches the first bus, she will not be on time for school. 2019, the question was, if your friends get here before 7 o'clock, we can take them out for dinner. Unless your friends get here before 7 o'clock, we cannot take them out for dinner. And this question, 2023, if the boys do not reach the school on time, they will be punished. Begin unless. Unless the boys reach the school on time, that means if they don't reach school on time, what happens? They will be punished. So this is the answer. Short inverted variations occur in each of the three condition types, type 1, type 2, type 3. So in that case, if is left out and you will be asked to begin with the should, were or had. So should, were and had are placed before their subjects and we don't use if. So here I'll show you an example. Father will send you a message if his flight is cancelled. So this question has come in 2012 ICSE board examination. When we look at the past 10 years question, only once it has asked and the children were asked to begin with should. So as it is told that in that case, if you are asked to begin with the should, were, had, you should leave, omit if. So should father's flight be cancelled, he will send you a message. This is the answer. So let's look at these examples. So the question is, if he were to recover from his illness, he would take the examination. So begin with the should. Should he recover from his illness, he would take the examination. If you are asked to begin with the where, then we have to leave if, omit if, and after that subject he, were he to recover from his illness, he would take the examination. If you are asked to begin with a had he recovered from his illness, he could have taken the examination. Thank you, children.